All right, welcome back, everybody, to Cool Sports Chat. As usual, my name is Keegan. Joining me today is
Matt.
Brendan.
today we are recapping the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 57. It wasn't a classic game. I know it's been called a classic, but to be fair, it was pretty one-sided in one half, and then pretty one-sided in the other half. To me, if it was a classic, I think it just a shootout. Like, do you guys remember that LA Rams Kansas City Chiefs game? Like, imagine if that was a Super Bowl game.
That
It
would
was
have
like,
been fun.
what was it,
50
like
final.
50? Yeah, was it 54 to 40 something or 54-51?
Well, shoot, or even go back to that. Was it the Bengals and Bills last year?
Mm.
Last year in the playoffs, where it was just back and forth, like 4 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Oh, yeah.
The
Or something where it was like,
Chiefs.
dang,
Yeah, the Bills Chiefs. I
yeah,
don't know.
Bills, Chiefs, not Bengals. Yeah, that was a crazy one. What a fun game that was. I remember at my dad's house just watching that one, and as soon as one team went up, it's like, well, damn it, there's the game, and then the other team scored, and you're like, well, shit, there's the game, and then they score again. It's like, dang.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. In the beginning, I definitely thought I was going to win my prediction when they were up by 10 at halftime.
I was
There
gonna say,
was,
very beginning, it was back and forth, like touchdown, touchdown. It was
yeah.
like, all right, we're gonna have one of those type of games.
Yeah, and then when it was like the Chiefs couldn't do nothing and it was just their defense that scored, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good about this. Like it might not be as high scoring as I thought, but I thought I might win this one. And then just like slowly the Eagles offense couldn't do anything. Some great adjustments by Andy Reid and team, obviously. But even their defense just all game did not show up, I don't think.
That's what, a lot of people are blaming like the last call or, this or that. And I was like, that pass rush didn't get to Mahomes until the fourth quarter, you guys. Like they had the third best defense or third best sack record, and no one could get to Mahomes.
Right? I mean, all game you just kept hearing how good their defense was and how it was like almost the 85 Bears as far as sack record. And they
Right.
did not perform anywhere on the level. Like, I
Wow.
mean, maybe you shouldn't compare it to the greatest defense of all time. Because if you look back at their playoff games, they won 21-0, 24-0, and 46 to 10. Like, they gave up 10 points in 3 games, including the Super Bowl. But there was a meme that, who was it? One of the Eagles players was like from Atlanta, and they're like, wait a minute, up 10 at halftime from Atlanta, 28 to 3.
All of the head coaches that got hired this year at one point were a coach or player for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Matt, congratulations on finding Mario Lopez.
Yes, took a while. Glad we found him. We can put that myth to bed now.
How'd you find Mario Lopez?
I just went into KFC, and there he was,
Oh,
Colonel Sanders himself, aka Mario Lopez.
So, Matt, big congratulations on finally breaking your streak. How does it feel?
Oh, I was getting worried. Like, I should just pick the teams I want to lose to win. That way they would lose.
I've
But
done that.
right, but yeah, no, I think we talked about this. This was the first Super Bowl since. Hang on one second. Sorry, Super Bowl 50 that I got the right.
Do you think it's because the Bronco fans were going for the Eagles that the Eagles lost?
There's a good chance of that.
I mean, if you look at it, they rooted for the Chiefs because they didn't want Brady to win. They rooted for the Seahawks because they didn't want the Patriots to win.
Yep.
They rooted for Atlanta because they didn't want New England. I mean, there's a whole like list. It could be the Bronco
Could
curse.
be the curse of the Bronco fan. I mean,
Next year,
they have lost 5 Super Bowls.
they have the second longest playoff drought behind the New York Jets.
And isn't the Patriots, I think, are the only team with the Broncos to have 5 Super Bowl losses now. For a while, that was just the Broncos record. It's like, well, at least, we didn't lose 5.
Right.
just
Well, and at least the Patriots have like what is it, 6 championships on top of that. So obviously we've had some experiences during the Super Bowl. Matt and myself were both in Colorado, Bronco country. Brendan was in Kansas, which isn't Kansas City, but it's still considered close
all
enough.
these fans.
Brendan, how was your experience wearing Eagles stuff during the Super Bowl?
I told I had balls.
That was the direct quote, verbatim.
They were like, "You have some real balls wearing that outside today." I'm like, "Why? Because it's cold?" Like,
was I not supposed to wear a shirt today? Like,
I didn't get the memo. It was National Go Shirtless Day. I'm sorry.
if only I knew. Actually, it was pretty warm that day.
I was just for St. Patrick's Day wearing green. Sorry.
Keegan, I don't think you were around because maybe it was happened at 91. No, I'm pretty sure it was at 132. But our assistant store manager, anytime like a Seahawk fan walked in, he made an announcement on the loud PA system. It was like the day of Super Bowl 48. And he's like, "Uh-oh, Bronco fans, we got another Seahawk fan in here." And you would just hear the whole store just like boo. It was like, dang, we're taking this to another level. Like, we're pointing out sports fans on a PA system.
I got in the newspaper with like Dirk and some of Jason was in it because they were all in their Broncos stuff, and you just see me in Seattle stuff.
Yep, no, I remember that one.
Yeah,
I think somebody still has that picture around.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the picture. I know what one you're talking about. Somebody has it hanging up. I don't remember where, but I've seen it.
How was wearing Viking stuff or whatever you wore in Colorado, Matt?
I don't know. Some Bronco fans feel like they got to chirp, and it's like, we don't even have a history like with each other. Why you're opening and flapping your mouth? I don't understand. It's not like I'm wearing Raiders or Chiefs colors, but they're a little brutal. Some of them are. I mean, defend your team, whatever, but like know your role and shut your mouth. As you know, it's constant torture from Bronco fans, and I mean, that's why I think they get a bad reputation. Shoot, I've been up in Wisconsin wearing my Viking stuff, and I don't get as much crap as I get in Denver for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you on the Super Bowl because obviously I was doing some deliveries and stuff. I was getting heckled. I mean, I wore Seahawks stuff because it's Super Bowl. Everyone was wearing, but the Bronco fans were like trash talking like cashiers and like employees, and like one took away my tip. I was very sad. 10 years ago, guys, let it go.
Right.
Although they'll never let it go.
No, I mean,
well, now they're mad because the Seahawks hosed the Broncos on the trade of Russell Wilson as well. What a victory for the Seahawks that was.
I mean, yeah, that draft class was beautiful, and now we got some more first rounders, and we got the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, didn't they get the 5th overall in this upcoming draft from the Broncos?
Yeah.
I think they'll use that wisely and get a heck of a player that should be able to start immediately and make their presence felt.
Yeah, I mean, we might honestly get the top defensive lineman because you think the top 4 picks could all be quarterbacks outside of like, I think the Bears trade back, or maybe they pick offensive line or defensive line, who knows, and then we won't get it. But outside of that, I think the other guys pick quarterbacks.
It depends. I really think that the Colts could trade up because they know that Texans also want a quarterback, and it's their division rivals, so they might try to jump the Texans and get their quarterback.
Well, I think you'll see the Vikings get in on that action too. Vikings are going to go for a quarterback as well in this draft. With their first pick or not, I'm not sure, but I do project the Vikings grabbing a quarterback this year because Kellen Mond is just not living up to his hype.
Right.
I want to tell you guys something groundbreaking. Pick number 10. Do we all know who holds pick number 10?
Philadelphia.
Do you know who they're going to pick?
No, I have no clue.
I mean, neither do I, but I'm going to go out on a limb. What if they just say Anthony Richardson, quarterback from the Florida Gators?
Why would they choose him? In the first round, no less.
I mean, I've seen weirder things happen. I don't.
Controversy right off the bat for Mr. Jalen Hurts, too.
Brendan, you know at least once an episode I gotta say something stupid so people will comment. That's why I went so outrageous with. I mean, I did feel like Philadelphia was going to beat them up pretty good. I did think they were going to win. Obviously, I was wrong, but I don't know. Do you guys really think they're that sold on Jalen Hurts?
I hope not.
I would say just like the Seahawk fans after Super Bowl 48 were sold on Russell Wilson, is probably the same feelings the Eagles fans have with Jalen Hurts right now. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, did you see all his rushing touchdowns?" I'm like, "Yeah, the 1 yard rushing touchdowns. Good for him. Bravo." It's not like, he ran from 40 yards out into the end zone. They were 1 yard runs. I'm glad he
But
got a touchdown, but I'm not putting him on a higher pedestal over Mahomes' performance because he rushed a 1 yard touchdown.
But I'm going to say about Jalen Hurts is he did show a lot of people that he was in better condition than they thought.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that since his shoulder was injured, he wasn't going to be able to do the deep ball, and I think he showed that he was able to do that.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
there were a couple good passes for sure.
putting up 300 yards of passing because you can't get a run game going, I think he did pretty good. My worry is the quarterback market is so fucking ridiculous that you're going to have to pay him 40, 50 million a year to keep him around. And you need to get that deal done this year because you want to get it done before Joe Burrow or, Trevor Lawrence or, anyone else. And, the fact that he's made a Super Bowl, that means he should get more than Dak, more than some of these other players. And I worry that you're going to put too much on him and not enough to bring the other players back. They have 16 free agents this year. Including Jason Kelce, Miles Sanders, some of the defense alignment I don't care about, like Sue or, something else. But, Reddick, and you have some of these other big players that need to come back, but you're going to go give your quarterback $50 million a year. So I worry about it for the longevity of the team. It kind of also sucks losing both of your coordinators. I knew Vic Fangio. I read that Vic Fangio was with the Eagles. He is actually he was working with the Eagles since like December. He was actually going to be the replacement for if the DC left. That was the rumor. But it kind of sucks that
they waited too long type thing.
The DC left and now he's going to Miami. So who knows who the new DC is going to be. But we'll see. I kind of think it sucks that the OC for the Chiefs haven't gotten a head coaching job yet.
Well, he'll get his. I mean, probably next year.
That's what they've been saying for the last 3 years.
If not, maybe he's just waiting for when Reed retires.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, Reed's been around a while. Like, he led the Eagles to 5, NFC championship games. And then he's led the Chiefs to 5.
Not that old either, though. He started coaching at a very young age, too, though. He's not your atypical coach, I mean, look at who is that Giants coach that went till like he was 72 or whatever.
How old is Pete Carroll?
Pete Carroll's
in his 70s.
73 or something like that. He's an old coach, too.
Same with Belichick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, see, when I see the Eagles and kind of they have a lot of free agents. You got to think, who are you going to pay? How are you going to shore up I mean, I don't know because they at least in the regular season and the playoff games they look pretty good. So I guess it's like, what do you need to shore up to like look good in the like Super Bowl?
Right.
Yeah. Well,
But
does Kelsey go join his brother in Kansas City?
Well, it's more of Jason retiring or coming back. And that's why they drafted the center they did last year, because that was supposed to be Jason's replacement. He was going to groom him for a year or two, and then when Jason retires, that's supposed to be the new center.
yeah, see, one has to wonder if they. I mean, obviously, a lot of times you see like Super Bowl slumps. With the Chiefs, I don't expect too much of it because they've been so consistent. But do you think, much like the 2015 or 2014-15 Panthers, the Eagles fall into that slump? Because they're built kind of similarly.
I don't know. A good point. I mean, well, like Brendan was saying, they got a lot of people they got to be able to bring back, and you still got to sign Hurts to a big contract too, and he's going to want it. And I agree. Before these other quarterbacks come out and set the market even higher, Russell Wilson, I think not this year, but one of the years, isn't he going to make like $60 million for the year? Like that's
that.
insane.
Yeah,
And that's
if
what
they cut
the
him this year, it's like $100 million in dead cap.
Yeah, so just need to be ready for that. And I agree. The quarterbacks also need to be more thoughtful too. Like, all right, well, do I want talent to be built around me, or do I just want to be the highest paid guy there? And you take an offensive line like the Broncos, or who else has some bad lines where you just get sacked all the time? Then do you want to get beat up and put on the ground, or
I don't
somebody
know.
to defend you?
Seattle. I mean, look at what they've been able to do this year with. Granted, they didn't have a lot of space, but they were able to use it a lot more. And without Russ, I mean, Gino outperformed him. They
Right.
they were able to draft a good class, and then they were able to spend their money wisely, keep people. I mean, Will Disley they kept, and he played pretty well this year. Granted, they had a 3 rotation tight end set that they would just rotate tight ends, but
Well,
I'm
when you have Disley and Fant,
mhm.
like just those two by themselves should be a 1A and 1B tight end.
Yeah, for me, like I think Seattle needs to just go offensive line, like maybe a center, defensive line. I think their linebackers are pretty good. Obviously, I think their secondary is good. What?
I was going to say, how's their secondary?
Oh, their secondary is good. I mean, we just got 2 rookies in it. I mean, obviously Jamal Adams didn't play all year. He's really good at rushing the quarterback. We'll see. I mean, I guess Carroll always likes to draft him. With running back, maybe they draft another one just to. I wouldn't say like early round, but late round just to be, Walker's backup. And maybe like a third string wide receiver wouldn't hurt.
That's one. I keep hearing 3 down run back for the Eagles. They want a powerhouse. They want, one of the reasons I think they were able to run the ball so well back in, Super Bowl 52 was because of Blunt, and so I've heard them Bijan Robinson, the 3 down back from Texas. He has been linked to the Eagles late first, so their 31st or 30th overall pick, because this year there's only 31 picks. That's one name that I kind of would like that, being a Texas Longhorn and Philadelphia Eagle fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember you wearing that bright orange Texas Longhorn shirt, Brendan. It's okay. Like, I mean, obviously, like for me too. Anytime Louisville, or as of recent, like, if a Wyoming player ended up in Seattle, I'd be pretty happy too.
Right.
But Louisville's definitely my like go-to, and so when we had that option, when they traded Russ to Denver, like I didn't know Teddy's like situation, so I was like, oh man, I really hope Teddy's part of that. Like that would have been so cool.
Right.
But now we got Malik Cunningham, quarterback, because he's entering this year. So I don't know, maybe like a late round pick to back up, because I'm guessing they bring Gino back. I would be totally happy if they brought in Malik Cunningham as like a backup to like just learn under Gino for a couple years and then take over. Matt, now it's your turn. We've given like our college hopefuls. Are you hoping for number 17 of Wyoming that we heckled all game to go to Minnesota?
Oh, no.
Even though he played well. Actually, it wasn't us heckling him. It was the guy next to us. Remember that guy?
Yes.
He kept saying run or pass the ball. And I'm like, you guys have like 400 yards on the ground. Why do you want him to pass it?
Yeah. That guy didn't know what football was, so he made a lot of stupid comments.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple on the flags or penalties, wasn't there, where he was like asking and you're like, what?
Yeah. Where remember they were like, he made that field goal. And we like looked on the camera like, no, he missed that.
Yeah, it missed like 7 yards wide to the left. What are you talking about? Like he made it.
All right. So, Matt, truthfully, though, who's your like college hopeful? Doesn't have to be early round, could be late round.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where quarterback from TCU goes. Whether he's a top 10 pick or more towards the bottom. He's somebody I'd hope Vikings would go after. I love his heart that he showed. He got rattled in the game and didn't give up and battled his team all the way back. I mean, it's a spirit like that you got to take a shot at as well. They show they got the grit. What's his name? Dugan. Was it Max Dugan? That sound right?
Something like that. Duggar? Max Duggar? Duggar? Something like that, yeah.
But he'd be one I'd hope for. Okay, more about that. How about that beautiful like hour and 15-minute wait for Taco Bell?
Oh yeah, where we were stuck at Taco Bell for an hour 15.
Yeah. I mean, and it was one of those ones where the line was so bad. It's like, well, we can't even really get in the car to leave because the line's wrapped around the corner and it was like a one-car entryway. So that was fun, though. Good times. Wyoming, as always. Looking forward to the next time.
We'll definitely be back this year. We're also going to drag Brendan with us.
Cowboys.
He's not answering, so I think he's okay with it. That means yes.
Brendan can even wear his cowboy gear. I'll loan it to him. He can wear some cowboy stuff. Oh, wrong Cowboys. My bad.
So we kind of talked about the Eagles and the Seahawks. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the off-season forecast for Minnesota?
Well, they've already made one huge step getting a new DC. I think defense is truly what killed it for the Vikings this year. We scored a lot or they, not we. I'm not part of the team or the organization. I'm just a fan.
Matt, don't lie. You are part of the team.
The Vikings scored a bunch of 1-point games, and opposite of the Broncos, they won those 1-point games. But if the defense can't stop the other team from scoring, you knew it was a matter of time before it bit them in the butt. And sure enough, the Giants just had their number that night. It was a well played game by the Giants. But I think getting Flores as our new DC is going to be a huge step up. We've just like everyone else got to kind of lock down our players. Justin Jefferson needs to sign before he's going to set the bar high without a shadow of a doubt. Being a wide receiver, I think he's still got a year left. Maybe this will be an extension point, but you definitely want to lock him down.
Doesn't he kind of have two?
It's either a year or two left, but it's one. If I were the Vikings, I'd go ahead and get that extension done now. Give him whatever you need to. Adam Thielen, whether he returns or not, he's kind of like the guy that you go to. He's heart and soul of the team. Just need to get some of that stuff figured out. I think it's going to be a tough year for the Vikings, as much as it pains me to say it. I don't know if they're going to be better than the Lions this upcoming season, which is really rare to say. I think the Lions are going to come out with a force. The Lions, Packers aren't going to do much, but the NFC North is going to definitely be an interesting division this upcoming year.
Yeah, no, Lions, I think, got it right in their coaching hire. I was really excited to see Dan Campbell get that. I know a lot of people kind of dissed on that hire. But look how well he's turned around that team and just like the people they're drafting and just having a vision and like who's the Lions owner? Ford, Sheila. Is it Sheila Ford? Yeah, Sheila Ford. But that she came out and was like, because I know they kind of started off kind of rough this year, and people were like, "Oh, get rid of Campbell," blah blah blah. And she came out, no, we're gonna work the process, and we don't want to be too gung ho. And look how well that turned out for them in the end this year. And I think another smart year. They got a lot of draft picks next year. I think Detroit can definitely turn things around. Probably, I would say, as of now, before free agency and everything, I think Detroit could make the playoffs.
I think as a wild card, but I would still think Minnesota would be a better team than them.
It's
Defense,
not being able to stay
receivers.
healthy. Like I said, playing defense. The Vikings towards the end of the season were definitely exposed on where their weaknesses were, and every team attacked them on it. I mean, look, they lost, what was it, week 16 to Detroit? Or was it week 17? Because there's 18 weeks now, right? Yeah, week 17 they lost to Detroit, and then thank goodness Detroit went in and punched Green Bay in the mouth in week 18 to eliminate their playoff dreams. But the Vikings just got to play smart football next year, period. You know, whether Kirk Cousins is still at the helm or someone else.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins definitely a big question mark.
And I get it. Kirk Cousins gets a lot of hate. When you look at his numbers, he is kind of like the Jake Plummer of the Denver Broncos. He puts up respectful numbers. I mean, he's somewhat smart with the football. He just doesn't show up in primetime games. But, you know, I challenge any Vikings fan or anyone else that really gives him a hard time. It's like, look at his numbers. He's always at the top of the league in completion percentage. You know, he makes the smarter plays. It's just he doesn't show up, and there's games where he just isn't there, which is sad.
Do you think a good comparison for Kirk Cousins is none other than Dak Prescott?
Could be. I mean, if I were offered those two, I would still take Kirk Cousins over Dak, but they
Hot
could be,
takes. I'll make him out of short.
right?
Brendan, how about you? Let's weigh in. Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott? Now, are we talking here? Are we talking in the Minnesota system?
I was going to say, which system are we talking about here?
Well, give me an offensive line and give me, Justin Jefferson, and like I said, I'll take Kirk Cousins. Give Dak
Yeah,
that same thing.
Dak
Then
was good when he had Amari Cooper.
Interesting. So you're
but
saying
Dak is
he
more.
needed Amari Cooper?
Oh no, Dak's hurt all the damn time.
Yeah, and that's the problem with running quarterbacks. Like anytime you have a mobile quarterback, there is going to be more injuries just because they get hit a lot more. I mean, obviously we've seen it before. Some pretty bad roughing the passer calls. Like it's like you can't even touch a quarterback anymore.
Right. I don't know. I think I'd have to go Kirk just because I think that's a hard one.
It is because they do very similar stuff. I mean, obviously not like play style, but as far as what they have done for the team lately, like pretty close.
Yeah. And I mean, I always still wonder, it would have not happened just because, we got Jefferson essentially for Diggs. But how dangerous or lethal would Minnesota have been had you had Diggs and Jefferson on opposite sides of the field?
I think
you would have one
off diva receiver.
Huh?
I think you'd have a pissed off diva receiver.
Yeah, which one?
Exactly. So
Well,
it's
yeah, because
everyone does it. Even Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. In the beginning of the season, they were both all buddy, and everything's hoo-ha and everything's great. And then during the playoffs, AJ Brown comes out and goes, "I want more touches." Well, you guys are winning games by 31 points. Why do you need to be throwing the ball? Why
Give
do you
him the
need
ball.
touches?
Give him the ball. He's an MVP candidate. Give AJ Brown the ball. I'm not biased.
Someone is always going to be unhappy about how many times they get the ball when they know that they are a playmaker. Stephon Diggs was mad at Josh Allen because Stephon Diggs wasn't getting the ball at the end of the Bengals-Bills game, and it pissed him off then. Imagine if he had a true number one receiver next to him as Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, did he storm out of the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
He left immediately after the game, and somebody had to pull him back into the locker room, which he stayed for maybe 5 more minutes and then left again.
That's crazy to me.
Yep. He cleaned out his locker before anyone even got in the locker room. He was first in the locker room, cleaned it out, and left. And then got dragged back in by a coach, I think, receiver coach or something.
No, I think it was one of the players. It was like a rookie player of on the defensive side too. Completely opposite.
You know what this reminds me of?
Come back in.
This reminds me of a situation we haven't talked about since the first portion of our little conversation tonight. But do you guys remember when what was his name? KJ Hamler just flipped out on Russell Wilson on national television?
Well, there were a few times they kept cameras, I think, on the receivers where, you didn't see it till the next night or on the news that night, or the receivers looking at Russell Wilson dude, I am wide open. What are you doing? I mean, I think you saw a few times with Cortland Sutton. You saw it a few times with Jerry Jeudy. I think more so with Jeudy, and then Hamler when he went off on him.
Yeah,
well, it's
slapping his helmet.
There's the meme now of Melvin Gordon yelling at Russell Wilson, and it's how it began and how it ends, and it's with him smoking a cigar with the Lombardi.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that picture leaked, and then he just didn't have any playing time the next game. They showed him on the sideline, and that was one of the games Jeudy was really upset with Russ. And you see Jeudy yelling, and you just see Melvin shaking his head don't do it, don't do it, don't let them catch you.
Yep. Well, that's where you got the bad first year coach. Not saying he's a bad coach, but inexperienced and let shit like that happen. It'll be interesting to see what Sean Payton brings and if he can control the emotional outbursts on the sideline. You got to keep your players in check until the end of the game. Take that shit for the locker room, not on national TV or in the public eye. Everyone's watching. Everyone. There's cameras always on you.
I heard he challenged Russ to a match at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view.
I'd pay to see it.
Should we throw that up on Twitter tonight? Just here you guys go.
My question about the whole coaches is, I think it's really interesting that the Jets fired one brother to hire the other one.
Right. I saw the Broncos might bring in Rex Ryan. I know they interviewed him
for their DC.
Yeah, it seems like they're actually building a pretty good coaching staff, but like Matt says, can they cohabit with Russell Wilson?
Can they cohabit between each other as well? You have all those. I think the big problem is if you bring in too many big name players or big name people, you're going to have all those different personalities and personality schemes. And is Sean Payton going to hire a DC and an OC and kind of back off, or is he going to want to run his system and everyone else is going to have to listen? Or is he going to bring in the Rex Ryan and let Rex, run the defense how he wants to run it?
Yeah.
I think it's how big of a micromanager do you want to be?
I think coaching, they'll be fine. I think at least Rex and Sean have worked together, right? On TV?
Yes.
On TV, have they?
Yeah, I think so.
At one point. I think Rex was not Fox, but wasn't he CBS? I think they worked on 2 different networks.
I was about to say, Sean
I know they've worked with each other. Just I don't know
ESPN.
I just know they always talk very highly of each other, so I think it'll be fine. I think it's again just like trying to corral Russ's idea of what the quarterback should do to match what Peyton thinks the quarterback should do. And I know I didn't they like kick out his like secondary like people, Russ's secondary people or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Sean Payton came out and said no team 3.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long that lasts because Team 3 weren't they the ones that were leaking the Russ wanted to go to Chicago or the Giants back in the 2 years before he traded.
That's fine at this point. Let's get rid of him. So ban him from the sidelines. Let Russ throw his diva fit, and let's trade him somewhere else.
All right.
Somebody that will take him. I mean, look, Denver took him.
Ask the Redskins. They're always looking for somebody that's overrated and out of style.
Hey, Cleveland, we hear you want some Russell Wilson magic, huh?
They can't afford him after they guaranteed Deshaun's contract in full.
Odd.
The Browns do stupid shit like that. They'd go over budget on Russ Wilson, too.
Another quarterback question, I think, revolving around a former Cleveland Brown quarterback, is the LA Rams. I mean, Stafford, I think he's coming back this year, but
yes.
Do they keep Baker on? Because he actually started to play pretty well towards the end of the year.
I would. Where's Baker going to go otherwise?
The Jets.
They want to push for Aaron Rodgers.
I think Aaron Rodgers might reconnect with a certain wide receiver.
In Vegas?
Vegas, huh?
I mean, right now, if I had to pick, it'd probably either be him or Jimmy Garoppolo would go to Vegas.
Well, I mean, Baker Mayfield's name has also come up right here in Denver. The possibility backing up Russ. I know the Broncos want a better backup quarterback for when they have to bench Russ to bring somebody else in.
When they have to.
Baker's name come up. Oh, I bet you it's by week 3 or 4. Wilson will be sat down if he played the way he did again last year. I mean, Peyton might not even wait for it to go that far.
I heard Baker to the Ravens. Back up Lamar when Lamar gets hurt.
Well, I don't know if I see Lamar signing again with Baltimore. I think he's done.
Yeah, I heard that they are open to looking at trades for Lamar. Seattle. But yeah, no, I saw like a mock trade where it was like Desmond Ridder and some picks for Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, how do you give up on Lamar Jackson like that?
Maybe they'll send Drew Lock to Baltimore for him.
I'm still
be that quarterback going to every other team.
Where do you think Derek Carr's going to go? He's technically a free agent and can go sign anywhere right now.
I think he might end up in Carolina.
Like I heard to Carolina.
See, I thought he might go to New Orleans, and then they had the meeting and everything, so I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe the Jets?
Derek Carr didn't want to give anything to the Raiders. He felt very betrayed and very thrown out to the curb like trash, and Derek Carr didn't want to give the Raiders anything. So he might go to the Saints, but he was not going to be traded because he did not want to give the Raiders anything in return.
Yeah, well, he has every right to be.
He didn't waive his no trade clause. He didn't accept the Saints trade. He has been visiting with the Saints twice now, so I could see him going there. But he was not. He wasn't. He was forcing the Raiders to release him or pay him $40 million.
Well, he has every right to be mad and angry. I mean, for crying out loud, he's one of the Raiders' top quarterbacks in their franchise history now, and they treated him like that. So I understand his feelings of like, you know what, screw you guys.
Well, they never had a top 25 defense. In the years he was there, he's never had a good defense. You can't blame him for getting you a 17-point lead or a 20-point lead defense blowing it.
Yeah, but
Like,
he'd be one I would cheer for to go to another
he's
team
the
to win a
guy.
Super Bowl.
So, I could see Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders just because of the Josh McDaniels Jimmy franchise. I also heard Jimmy Garoppolo going to Tampa Bay,
Oh, that would be interesting.
replace Tom Brady like New England wanted him to do.
So let's look at some free agents. Obviously, we've talked about Derek Carr. Brendan, last pick. Where do you think Derek Carr ends up?
New Orleans.
Okay, Matt.
Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina. I don't know. Where are the Panthers? I think they're north.
Border.
West Virginia. I'm just kidding. I'll throw it up to be different. How about the New York Jets? Now, Baker Mayfield, Brendan, where do you think?
I have no clue. I think he stays with the Rams as a backup for a year.
Matt?
I think the Broncos are going to pursue him and give him a contract.
Okay. I'm thinking he stays with the Rams as well. Jimmy G, Brendan?
I don't know. I like the Raiders pick just because of Josh McDaniels head coaching. Try to make Josh McDaniels look good.
Matt?
I think he's going to end up on the East Coast. I'll go either New England or New York Jets on him.
Back to New England. Interesting. I'm going to say Raiders as well. Going to big old Las Vegas. Let's see. Our next one is Teddy Bridgewater. Brendan, do you think he stays in Miami or goes somewhere else?
I think he goes somewhere else. He wants to prove that he can be a starter again. Where, though, I don't know. I don't think he stays, but maybe the Bucks. You know, you have good receivers, you have a good defense, you can use your legs when you need to.
So for me, because Mr. Locke himself, I'm pretty sure is a free agent, I'm going to say Seattle. Let's bring Teddy home to Seattle. Matt?
Bring him home. I'm going to say the same thing. Bring Teddy home. Bring him back to the purple and gold. Vikings, let's go. Skull. Bridgewater, come home, you know. If Cousins goes down and we need somebody, then we got somebody who can prove himself in the starting league and somebody who knows Minnesota. And the fans love Teddy there, no matter what. I mean, I went to the game when I think it was a Monday night game or Sunday night game when Bridgewater came back when he was with the Saints, and the ovation he got was still pretty incredible. The fans have a lot of respect for him there.
Let's see. We got a couple more bigger names. We got Daniel Jones as a free agent. I think he goes back to the Giants. I don't see how he can't. What about you guys?
I think he stays.
Yeah,
After the performance he had with Brian Daboll as his head coach, showing that in the right system he can be a good, decent quarterback, I think he stays.
yeah, I agree. He's not going anywhere. He'll be with the Giants.
And then we got Geno Smith, I think also stays Seattle this time. Brendan?
Yep.
Yes.
I think he stays in Seattle.
Seattle all the way.
I mean, there's some decent names, but we'll just skip down to Taylor Heineke. I'm going to throw a wrench in here and say Green Bay.
See, I wasn't sure about that. And when we were talking about Teddy Bridgewater, I thought about Washington, but I thought they have Heineke, so then they weren't going to go anywhere. It really depends. I think that whole organization is up in airs right now with the whole them selling, because this could be the last year for anyone in that. They, new ownership will come like Walmart, right? Goes, buys the Broncos, gives everyone 1 year. You don't live up to expectations or some type of effort, and clean house, which means Ron Rivera is out and possibly the quarterback's out because, the coach didn't choose the quarterback and he wants somebody else for his system. So I don't know.
Matt?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Got a guy like Heineke, where would he end up? Let's put Heineke. Oh, man. Something's telling me maybe Indianapolis.
Our next big name, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he's unrestricted free agent. It would have to be through a trade. Brendan, do you think they trade him, or does he stay in Baltimore?
I think they trade him.
To who?
They don't want to give him the money that he wants, so they'll find someone who will.
There's teams desperate for a quarterback, mobile quarterback. I could easily see him going up on the West Coast this time. Seattle could be a good potential landing spot for him. I think he would fit in well with that system there. But also, why not? No, I don't. Not yet. Yeah, let's battle with that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say maybe Arizona, but then you trade your problem. You trade Kyler Murray for Lamar Jackson, and maybe both need a fresh start, different city, or a new look.
Yeah, but at least Kyler Murray has a contract and has his money already
guaranteed,
figured out.
Right. But I mean, I know Arizona is kicking themselves just like Denver did after signing him, and it's like, man, this guy is a pain in the ass.
Well, and AZ's looking to get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and they lost AJ Green, so you're down to one receiver.
Yeah, I'd say if they do trade Lamar, which I think is not a smart move for Baltimore, maybe a team like Atlanta, maybe a team like Seattle. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be against it. Talking about Seattle, we got to back up another quarterback, Drew Lock, Brendan. Drew Lock goes to where?
I liked Drew Lock out of Missouri, and I was really, really hopeful for him to do something. I don't know, he needs to find a coach that he knows the system and does really well with, because otherwise his career is going to be a short one. I don't know. That's a hard one for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him back in Seattle.
Disappointment.
Yeah, like I think if he can come to Seattle again, I think that'd be good. But you could see him maybe going to a team like Washington, maybe in Indianapolis.
Throw Lock out in Atlanta, maybe. Put him in the Falcons.
At least he has a good tight end and a good receiver to do it with, and a good young running back. Yep. I think Matt Ryan, Kyle Murray, Aaron Rodgers are all trade block, could be on the move quarterbacks to watch. I don't know if Matt Ryan will stay and help mentor the next quarterback, or it'll be interesting. Just because, I mean, at least the Colts got an OC as their head coach, a good OC. So we'll see.
Our next one is Cooper Rush. Where do you think he goes?
Stays in Dallas.
I agree. He'll stay in Dallas.
I'm going to throw a wrench and say he goes to Tampa Bay. All right, our next one is Brett Rippon from Denver Broncos. So obviously, Broncos will be in the search for a backup unless he comes back. Brendan, where does Brett Rippon end up?
I honestly have no clue because I don't feel like anyone's ever seen enough of him to go anywhere.
Maybe we can go back up Tannehill in Tennessee.
Wouldn't be too bad. How about we send Rippon to backup in the Giants? Let's go New York. I have no idea how their backup situation looks. All right. Second to last one, Tyler Huntley.
Their backup is Tyrod Taylor, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Well, then I take back my pick. Let's send him to New Orleans. Woo. Brett Rippon's going to New Orleans. All right. Second to last one, Tyler Huntley from Baltimore. I think he stays and they trade Lamar. I think it's not a good choice to trade Lamar, but that could be what happens.
I'd agree. I think he's one that could stay up there easily.
I think he stays.
And then our final pick, talking about Philadelphia, Jalen. No, I'm just kidding. But talking about Philadelphia, Gardner Minshew. Brendan, what do you think happens to Mr. Minshew?
Stays. It's not a bad backup. He can play.
See, I'm going to have to say let's send him to Atlanta. I think, honestly, him and Ritter, one of them could end up the starter.
Oh, here's another one. Why not put Mr. Minshew in Minnesota?
Whoa! Gardner Minshew to Minnesota. You heard it here first. He will start by week 15, Matt said. Week 15.
Men and men. You know what they'll say. Win and men. 4 men.
All right. So I think we've kind of worn out all the football subjects we could talk about. But we got 2 more topics. They'll be shorter, obviously, in nature. But Brendan brought up one he's really excited about. It's Daytona. Brendan, do you want to talk about it?
It's just the start of NASCAR season.
Matt, anything to add?
What? Daytona? We talking about the beach already? I haven't followed NASCAR since like Jeff Gordon. Is he even still around? Jeff Gordon will win or something.
Well, he's a Hendrick Motorsports like CEO. He doesn't race anymore.
Okay. And then Matt had a thing he's looking forward to in the XFL. Matt, I know we saw a couple trailers for it during the Super Bowl. What is your take on into XFL V2 version 2 season 2?
I'm excited for it. I mean, I always liked the XFL aspect of it. I mean, I'm kind of sad they went away from the silly nicknames and the NFL Blitz style tackling, where you could just slam somebody down. But we get it. We want people to be safe out there. But I also do look forward to the XFL. They are trying out some stuff that I think the NFL has potentially looked into, and so is the USF or USSAF, whatever it is. I know they're testing out some new stuff, so I'm kind of excited to see where the future of football will go with some of the new science and technology that these leagues are going to use.
All right, you heard it here first. We'll be back here shortly. Obviously, we'll be waiting for some more big events, but March Madness is right around the corner. Then you got WrestleMania. You got some NFL draft. Maybe we'll just do a live stream for the NFL draft and react as picks are happening. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool. At least round 1. We don't have to do every single round because I don't even watch the last couple.
Oh, come on, man. You skipped something. Before the NFL draft, we have opening day. What a great day around the nation that is. Whether you don't get into the stadium, just to go, like,
Cubs.
I really love going around Coors just to hang out with the atmosphere around the stadium now that they have McGregor Square. And sounds like by next year they'll have another, like, little party area outside of the stadium. It's always a great atmosphere. Opening day is one of the funnest events and during the year, I think.
Yeah, go Cubbies. Just glad I at least got to see one World Series victory. Never thought I would, so I was excited about that. And then I guess we do have the USFL, or not USFL. We do have the XFL as well starting up. So, and the NBA Finals. Then we're in hockey season. So, yeah, we'll definitely be back. Maybe we'll talk more about free agency as well when that opens up. Maybe day 1 we'll come back and just give you our thoughts and see if any of our quarterback predictions were right. But I think that's where we will end off tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. If you want to see more of cool sports chat, click that link to your left. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a
subscribe.
I should have a recording of Sam like, don't forget to turn that notification bell from personalized to all. And let us know which big quarterback move we got wrong, because we got them all wrong. So let us know why and how.
And where do you think they're going to go?